If you're in EdTech or education publishing, you know exactly what's coming. That back-to-school surge, it's an annual reality. It's this crazy period of intense pressure, but also just massive opportunity. And honestly, how your company gets through it can pretty much define your entire year. So let's just get right to it. The big question that's probably on your mind is your team really ready for the August surge? Because during this season, just being reactive isn't only stressful, it's a huge business risk. And believe me, the stakes could not be higher. This little window of time is everything. It's when schools are making their biggest purchases, it's when teachers need the absolute most support, and it's when those first impressions either lock in a long-term partnership or, well, lead to churn. Okay, first up, let's break down what I like to call the back-to-school scramble. We all feel this, right? It's that annual challenge. But what's actually going on behind the curtain?
Between July and October, our internal teams just get buried under this avalanche of super critical tasks. We're talking software implementations, getting educators onboarded and trained, live troubleshooting, and it's all happening at the exact same time. It puts a massive strain on everybody, and it really shows the cracks in most internal staffing models.
All of that scrambling leads us directly to our next point, the high cost of delay. See, waiting until you're already completely overwhelmed to staff up, that's not just bad planning. It's a decision that literally traps your team in a defensive crouch, and it hits your bottom line hard.
And this, right here, shows you that domino effect perfectly. When your main team is stretched way too thin, you get bottlenecks in your operations, which of course leads to burnout. Then your service quality drops, which tanks client satisfaction, and while all of that is going on, the best seasonal talent has already been snapped up by your competition.
Now check out this number, because this is really interesting. 68%. This isn't just some fluffy metric. This is district leaders telling you straight up that if your support is slow or it's not helpful during this critical time, they are way less likely to renew that contract. It's a direct line from seasonal support to annual revenue.
So what's the answer to all this chaos? Well, that brings us to the strategic solution. It's about shifting your whole mindset away from that reactive, last-minute hiring and instead building a proactive partnership for your staffing needs.
The main idea here is something called contingent variable staffing. Now, it sounds a little complex, but I promise it's super simple. You pay for the skilled people you need, but only when you need them. It lets you scale way up for the surge and then scale right back down afterward, saving you about 20% on staffing costs on average.
So how does it actually work? Well, a specialized partner pretty much handles the whole thing. They have a pool of pre-vetted experts ready to go, they manage all the recruiting and onboarding paperwork, and they deal with payroll and compliance. And what does that do? It frees up your core team to stop putting out fires and actually start focusing on strategic growth.
But, and this is a big but, not all partners are created equal. This comparison really shows why. A general staffing firm might find you a person to fill a seat, but a specialized education partner finds you an expert. They've got a curated list of actual educators who already get district policies and speak the same language as your customers. That means they're ready to jump in and make a difference from day one.
The best way to really understand this advantage is to see it in action. So let's take a look at a quick case study with Framework Consulting, a firm that really lives in this exact space.
So the situation was a classic. A fast-growing edtech company was just 2 months out from that back-to-school storm. They knew they didn't have the people to handle it. They were right in that danger zone we were just talking about. By bringing in a specialized team of implementation pros and help desk technicians, the results were, well, immediate and pretty dramatic. They saw a 24% increase in their customer satisfaction scores compared to the year before. That's the power of having enough of the right people. And here's the long-term win. They retained 97% of their new clients after that crazy launch period. So the key takeaway here is, this wasn't just about surviving the season. It was about setting themselves up for future growth and stability. So how'd they do it? Well, their whole approach is built on their expertise in this sector. They're led by former district administrators, they do a deep dive to analyze needs, and they even pre-train their people on their client-specific tools. This is what sector-specific value actually looks like.
All right, so how can you actually apply all these lessons? Let's build out your proactive plan with a few key takeaways.
Probably the most important takeaway is this: start early. The ideal time to hire isn't in August when things are on fire, it's to engage your partner back in Q2 or early Q3.
That gives you plenty of time to define the roles, onboard the talent, and have your team fully trained and ready before the peak demand even hits. So, to wrap it all up, start early, at least 60 to 90 days out. Prioritize partners who live and breathe the education world. Think of this as a long-term partnership, not just a one-time fix. And finally, see this as a strategic investment that gives you a real competitive edge.
And that leaves us with one last question for you to think about as you plan for the next cycle. Is your current staffing plan a defensive play, something just designed to survive the chaos, or is it an offensive strategy, designed to actually win the season and drive that long-term growth? Because that choice, well, it can make all the difference.